good afternoon and welcome to another Angling Direct Quick Bite. I'm at East Delph Lakes. We're on the front lake here today. We've got 24 hours ahead of us and I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about solid PVA bag fishing. So throughout the session, hopefully we'll catch a fish or two, and I'll talk about the setups, the rigs that you put in these bags, how to tie the bags, the different bait that you put in the bags, and the advantages of using the solid PVA bag. So I've just got here in the midday sun. There's a few carp cruising about. I've seen a couple close to the islands. So just for now, I've just cast two solid bags close to the islands in that slightly shallow water to see if we can nick a bite before I commit to where I'm going to fish tonight. I'm going to watch the lake this afternoon, but the beauty of those solid bags is you can cast them at show and fish, and you're fishing on a little pile of bait wherever you cast them. So I'm going to let them soak for a little while if we sit back, enjoy the sun, and let the fish tell us what we need to do later on in the session. Well, there we go. I cast one at this island to my left because I did see a fish show there, and they've been cruising around quite close to those islands, and sometimes just one solid bag in the right place, minimal disturbance, no spodding, no marker float work, just fishing for a bite. That's exactly what this method is good for. I'm going to concentrate because he's doing his best to go through the other line. Well, there we go, just a little fella, but I'm pleased with that because I wasn't expecting a bite until it cools down this evening. It's bright, it's sunny, it's still, but one parcel of bait in the right place is enough for a bite sometimes. There was two lads that had fished these swims for 24 hours. We followed them into the swim and they hadn't had anything, but I did hear they put quite a lot of bait out. So sometimes less is more. A solid bag, put exactly where you see the fish, is enough for a bite. So let's slip this little fella back. Before I tie up another bag, I'll show you the rig that I put inside the solid PVA bags. So one of the nice things about these rigs that you put in the solid bags is they're nice and simple. So I've got a tracker PVA bag stem on there with one of the tracker leads, and they're super safe. On these particular leads, I'm dropping the lead on the take. There's a groove in the lead. The force of the take pops the stem out of the lead, and then the lead falls off. Now, if you don't want to lose your lead, that's absolutely fine. There are other stems on the market. Our Advanta ones are really good, which are perfectly safe. As long as you use the Advanta leads, it means if your main line does break, the lead will still slide off the stem and fall off the main line. But fishing here at East Delph is quite snaggy. I want to land every fish that I hook, so I feel that dropping the lead gives me a better chance of doing that. And then you want a nice short, maybe 3 to 4 inch hook link of some soft, supple braid. That's some Corda Supernatural in 18 £. Nice and simple. I've got a Corda crank hook on there with a knotless knot with a tiny little bit of silicone just to hold a small yellow wafter round on the bend of the hook. So that hook will actually lay on the lake bed, or in this case it will lay amongst those pellets out of the bag, and that'll just waft like a little cherry on a cake above those pellets. Up above my main line, one last little thing, maybe 3 foot up the main line, I have just put a little blob of tungsten putty just to pin that line down and keep it all super neat and tidy. I'm going to refresh both the rods for the night. It's just that one fish this afternoon, but it's now starting to look quite promising. There's a bit more movement on the lake. There's a few more fish now starting to show. But before I tie this bag, let's quickly talk about what sort of bait to put in your solid bags. Now, there's a few different options, but the most important thing is that they're quite small particles of bait, so you don't get any air trapped in the bag. My favourite mix is nice and simple. In this bucket, I've got a mixture of 2mm and 4mm sticky baits krill pellets. I've probably got most of the mix as the little 2mm ones, with just a few handfuls of 4mm ones to mix it up. Now, there are other things you can put in the winter time. Sometimes I'll put a little pinch of maggots in the bottom of the bag. Boilie crumb is another good thing to put in your solid bags. But at the end of the day, for me, Just these little micro pellets, they go in the bag super neat, they pack down really tight, they're full of attraction. It seems to get me plenty of bites. Well, the left-hand rod has bent round in the rod rest, and I've had one kind of when you'd expect to get a bite. It's now coming towards dusk. The lake has definitely shown a lot more signs of life. This feels a little bit bigger than that first one, but that was quite small, that first one. But we'll take my time, see if I can get this in. Solid bags doing the business. Lovely job. Something a bit different. A bit of a long, lean ghost carp fighting machine, this one. Absolutely pulled my arm off. Looks quite skinny from recent spawning a few weeks ago. But another little edge to those solid bags. I'm fishing around those islands. There's definitely a lot of leaf matter and debris on the bottom. But with those bags, it gives you the perfect presentation on light weed. Like I say, leaves, sticks. If you haven't got an incredibly clean lake bed, you're still presenting a bait okay. It was a perfect late spring evening. The lake was flat calm, it looked really good, there was a few fish showing, the rigs went out perfectly, and I felt confident of a few bites in the hours of darkness. Well, good morning. What a very pleasant wake-up call. I've pretty much had a double take on first light. This is the smaller of the two, a feisty little, probably recently spawned out common. And I've got a much bigger one sitting in the other net. It's a good job I've got 2 nets in the swim, because you never know, sometimes it's all or nothing with carp fishing. So we'll pop this little fella back. Let's get that bigger one out of the net. I might weigh the other one. It looks well over 20 pound, the other one. What a great start to the day. Well, that's more like it. We're a little bit unlucky getting a run of slightly smaller fish here at East Delph, but this one that's woke me up this morning, I think it's around about 27.5 pound. But what a beautiful looking common carp. Another example of how effective the solid bags can be. First thing in the morning, I noticed some fizzing in the middle of the lake, and one of the good things about the solid bags, you're not committed to any particular area. You can cast a thing such as fizzing and show and fish, and sometimes get a quick bite. It wasn't long until the sun burnt off the early morning mist, things started to brighten up, but I still felt confident of a few bites. After all, I caught fish in bright sunshine the day before, so I was feeling fairly confident. Well, it's time to tie up another solid bag, and I'll quickly show you the way that I do it. I've got some of the small quarter PVA bags here, and the first thing I do, it's quite handy with the quarter bags, you get a little bag loader in with the bags in every packet. So I'm just going to put a few of my little micro pellet mix in the bottom of the bag, and then I'll lower in that little yellow wafter, and then I just put the lead in the top of the bag, and I hold that against the top of the bag with my finger and my thumb like that, and then you've got enough gap there to just drop some more pellets in. Any pellets that don't go in the bag are falling in the bucket beneath me, so I'm not wasting any pellets. Once I've covered the hook bait, I'll then pop the lead in there. You can give it a little pat down with the lead just to pack everything nice and tight. You want to try and keep that PVA bag stem fairly central to the PVA bag. A little bit windy here now, so it's making it a bit difficult, but we'll manage. And then just keep topping up with pellets. Don't go right to the top, because you need to leave a little bit of space to tie the bag off at the end. So that'll probably do me. Make sure that stem's in the middle, and then pat it all down and get that bag nice and tight. Get all those little micro pellets compressed in the bag, and then you can just give it a few twists like that. Then somewhere over here I've got a piece of PVA tape all ready. I'll wrap it around there, probably 3 or 4 times. I'll probably just rest this on my knee. And again, a couple of overhand knots just to secure that solid bag. Trim up those tags. And I like to tuck the corners in. They just cast a little bit better if you tuck those corners in, and it makes the bag even tighter still. So just push that in there, lick and stick the corners. And then I do just trim up around the collar of the stem, just so you get a little bit less residue when it melts. You don't want too much PVA bunched up anywhere. So I'll just trim that up. The last thing I do, I've got a little needle here. This one hasn't actually got a barb on it, it's just a pointy needle. So if you use a baiting needle, sometimes you'll catch your hook link. So just put some little holes in there so that any air that's in there can escape as it melts. And there we go. And a handy thing with these PVA stems, as in my bucket, I have got a few that I've pre-tied. So if I'm in a little bit of a rush, if I see a fish fizzing or show and I want to get a bait on there quickly, I can just cut this off and tie a fresh one on and cast it straight back out. I know some people tie a big loop in their main line and loop to loop them on, but personally I don't really like that doubled up section of mono. I think it's untidy, and let's face it, how long does it take to tie a knot and change them properly and neatly? Fantastic bite. I'm fishing locked up on the side of that island. The bobbin pulled up tight, the rod bent round in the rest. I'm attached to another angry East Delph carp. Hey, we've got the first mirror of the trip. Lovely. Here he comes. He looks cool, he does. The old humpback. Disconnected that hook link. It's one of those quick change stems, so you can disconnect the hook link. Make sure he's all in there safely. Still fairly lively. Come on, mate. Well, he is mega, that one. That'll be well over 20 pound, that fish, and what a fantastic take. Fishing on the edges of those islands with those little solid bag rigs, use a nice heavy lead. That was a 3-ounce flat pair inline lead, combined with that short hook link is really aggressive. You don't want a long hook length, you're fishing a very tight patch of bait. You want that hook link to be short, that lead to be heavy, and they nail themselves every time. Another handy little tip, if you like using these quick change PVA stems, you don't need an anti-tangle sleeve. A long anti-tangle sleeve will get in the way when you're dropping the rig in a bag. I like to use a little rubber bead. It fits really neatly over that quick change swivel, holds your hook link on secure, and finishes off the rig nicely. Well, this is probably going to be the last fish. I was then having a slow pack up like us anglers do, and then this left hand rod is just bent round in the rest one last time. Like I say, I think we'll make this the last fish. It's been a great trip here at East Delph, an example of how effective those solid bags can be. Bazinga. Well, you can see I'm absolutely soaked. I unhooked this one in the net and it gave me an absolute soaking splashing in the net. But a lovely fish to end the video on. And I hope you enjoyed my little insight to how I use solid PVA bags. And if you've got any questions about solid bag fishing, pop them in the comments and I'll answer them myself. But until then, I'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give it a like if you enjoyed the video.